The whole Sue Gray and Keir Starmer saga continues to get worse as the Labour leader had another car crash interview about his new Chief of Staff. It's absolutely fascinating. Every time the Tory government getting to have a meltdown or in turmoil for some reason, the Labour Party somehow managed not to just miss an open goal but shoot themselves in the foot. I've been saying this for the past few days. It's funny. It's interesting that this is the one opportunity the Labour Party have to completely destroy the Tory party and Tory government, but no, they managed to make things worse for themselves. Keir Starmer has appointed Sue Gray as his new Chief of Staff. Sue Gray was until 10 minutes ago a senior civil servant, a respected civil servant. She was also the investigator of Partygate, clearly impartial, and now she's working for Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. There's a lot of questions about it. So, on LBC, we had Nick Ferrari interviewing Keir Starmer on this issue. The last couple of days, the Labour Party have also sent other members of the shadow cabinet on TV, and they messed up. Jonathan Ashworth messed up in front of, obviously, the interviews that he's done. He didn't know how to defend it. The question is simple. Were there any contacts or relationship in the past between Sue Gray, civil servant Sue Gray, and the Labour Party? Keir Starmer was also being interviewed by Nick Ferrari about this issue. Let's get into it.
January 2022 last year, you said to me the following words: full disclosure, I know Sue Gray personally. When did you first approach Sue Gray to be your Chief of Staff?
Nick, I know her personally. I met her when I was Director of Public Prosecution. She was obviously a senior civil servant. I met a number of them. I was really, really impressed with her.
Oh.
So I've known her personally since then.
So he didn't know her. So that's first question sorted.
Not a friend. I don't mix with her. I'm not in the same social circles or anything like that. I know her personally in the sense that if I saw her at a reception or something, I would go over and have a discussion with her. Sure. But as I say, I actually haven't had a discussion with her during the entire time she was doing her report.
Might I ask when?
Okay, so how did you get the job then? If you haven't really talked to her recently, how did you get a job interview?
You first approached her to be your Chief of Staff?
I've been on the lookout for a Chief of Staff for a little while now. I'm very clear what I wanted in that. And obviously, Sue will set out that, but nothing improper at all. I've been on the lookout for a Chief of Staff. I'm really pleased that people of her calibre...
So uncomfortable, he keeps repeating his own lines.
...are interested in that. But,
So when did you approach... Can I ask when you approached Sue?
Look,
if I may call her, Sue?
I've been looking for a Chief of Staff for a number of weeks now.
I think October 2022, Sam White left you, if I've got that
Well, that's
correct.
when I lost, when Sam White moved on. At that stage, the first task I had for myself was being clear in my own mind what I wanted from a Chief of Staff.
He's just repeating the same thing. Answer the question, Keir.
Because I was beginning to think about how to
So I will try
government.
again, and obviously you don't have to answer, but when did you first contact Sue Gray about the possibility of becoming your Chief of Staff?
Well, Nick, that's going to be laid out by Sue. She's got to do that as part of a leaving procedure. But there's nothing improper at all.
But you can't tell me that.
Nick, nothing improper at all.
No, but you can't tell me when you first approached her.
I've been looking for a Chief of Staff for a little while now, but Sue will lay that out.
Why won't
but
you tell me?
There's nothing improper at all.
No. But just answer why you won't tell me when you first made contact with her.
I'm not going to go through lock, stock and barrel, but there's nothing improper. It's not unusual.
But if it's not improper, I'm sorry to... If it's not improper, why won't you say, it was a month ago, Nick, or it was 6 weeks ago, Nick, or it was on New Year's Day?
It was. I've been looking for some time, and there's nothing improper.
Okay, let's just stop this nonsense. Oh my God. How hard is it to answer a simple question? If you are Mr. Integrity, and if Sue Gray is Mrs. Integrity, Miss Integrity, then just answer it. Clearly, if you got nothing to hide, you could have said it. But you're hiding it. So clearly, there must be at least some sort of grey area in terms of her appointments. What were you guys thinking? Also, Keir Starmer says, I've been on the lookout for a new Chief of Staff. We know that because he repeated that about 14 times in the same interview. And he knew exactly what he wanted. And somehow Sue Gray is the best person for that. The reason I say is because there have been a couple of pundits also saying the same thing. That you got different type of politicians. You've got politicians like Boris Johnson, for example, who's not good with details. So it's technically a chief of staff that could be a good admin, a brain, like a former civil servant, could be a good person to do the managerial stuff. But if you already are technically on paper, like Keir Starmer, like Theresa May, coming from civil service or public service or any sort of quango, that you basically acted, your previous job was almost like a civil servant. So you guys are good with details. You are good at management. Then you kind of need a chief of staff who's not like you. Sue Gray is like Keir Starmer, as far as we know. You need a chief of staff who could do the blue sky thinking, the vision, the political prowess, the media communications flair, something that's different. If you're going to have another Keir Starmer type as your chief of staff, then what is the point? That to go through all this effort and get into trouble over it. Even people like Dan Hodges said this in response to his car crash interview, saying, honesty, openness, integrity. This was basically the words that Keir Starmer used to describe himself and the Labour Party, that they will be promoting honesty, openness, and integrity. I'm pretty sure we didn't see any of those three words in that interview we just saw. There was no openness, there was no honesty, and where is integrity in that situation? Anyways, it is good to take a break from all the doom and gloomy stuff of the lockdown files. We're going to come back in half an hour. We're going to talk about Simon Case, the head of civil service, who is now in more trouble than even Matt Hancock because of the lockdown files. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.